Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another installment of How Will X Impact the Game. This time we're going to go over the Bardock's crew archetype, and I talked about this before, but I like doing this way where I don't necessarily go over all the spoilers released in one instance because, you get a lot of different archetypes released and they're kind of incohesive, but I like doing it this way because we get to talk about, an archetype essentially, a deck theme that is going to definitely go into one deck together and will impact the game in a certain way. So I want to go over it this way and talk about how I think the Bardock's crew archetype will impact the game when it releases in January. Right before doing it, if you guys are new to the channel, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button would be super duper dope for you guys, really helpful. And if you guys are longtime fans of the channel, you guys can help me out on my Patreon down in the description below. Just $1 a month can help me keep bringing you this content that you guys know and love. And as always, if you guys have any recommendations on what you want to see from the channel, any video ideas, drop those in the comments as well. Alright guys, so we'll get right into this. So Bardock's crew, pretty dope how Bardock's getting his own entire archetype. I mean, he's just a fan favorite character. He's been on a bunch of good cards lately, especially the Bardock the Progenitor. He's got the SS3 Bardock board wipe, which is super cool. So we'll talk about what his new archetype is going to do. So his leader that he's getting in the set is going to be uncommon. It's 10k on the unawakened side, and it's a burst 2 leader. So your typical just mill 2 draw 1. He also gets a 5k boost, so that's really big. I mean, it can threaten unawakened leaders if you're playing a slower strategy in this deck, and it can threaten 15k battle cards, which can just be really helpful over the course of a game, saving you advantage. So at 4 life, he will choose Super Energy and switch to active mode, flip over. Bardock, Hope of the Saiyans. So 15k leader, auto sparking 5, when this card attacks, draw 1 card, and he gains a 5k boost for duration of the turn. So there's a few of these leaders that swing for that 20k buff, and honestly that alone is just a really good effect. I mean, swinging for a 20k, not having to combo into certain things. I mean, we all remember how annoying Soul Striker was with that whole thing. I mean, and the Jackie Chun leader does like the same thing. The Green Feet Goku World Tournament leader does the same thing. Really strong effects. And the fact that he's blue doesn't hurt either. I mean, Dimension Magic OP. So when this card is attacked, if a Bardock's crew card is in your drop area, you may choose 1 card from your life, place it in the drop area. If you do, negate the attack. So kind of a weird effect. I mean, I think this archetype is going to revolve a lot around sparking from what I remember, and you're always going to want a Bardock's crew in the drop area for either a recursion effect or for your leader's effect. So this is definitely going to be a sparking type of deck, and a weird effect. So you create yourself a life. You don't even get to pick it up to hand. You create yourself a life to negate an attack. So pretty interesting because you can turn like a double strike into a single strike or a triple strike into a single strike. So that is very interesting. I mean, this actually, interestingly enough, if you're at 4 life, you can actually survive a Gogeta triple attack, which is kind of interesting. I mean, if your opponent's Shenron leader, gives that Gogeta 7 drop triple attack, you can actually survive that onslaught just by your leader's ability, which is actually really interesting. So, cool effect, has some cool uses like what I just mentioned, but outside of that, I don't think it's like the most amazing thing, but not bad overall. When you combo this card, Geen Mother of Hope. When you combo this card, if one of your blue Bardock cards is being attacked, this card gets 5k combo for duration of the turn. So it's a free 10k combo if a Bardock is being attacked, so that actually will help your leader out. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a main deck card because it's just a 5k combo that does nothing else except provide a free 10k combo in certain instances. Not sure if it's going to be super highly played. And then we have the Son Goku striving to be the best. This is going to be the feature rare of the set. There are some rumors that the feature rares are going to be 1 per case. I really don't like believing rumors before we get any solid information. I mean, that's the whole point of rumor, I guess. But that'd be a really bad move, especially if this card was a 1 per case card. I mean, this would be like a Demigras on crack, because this is going to be a staple to help combat Storm. So hopefully that's not the case, but that's just what I've heard. So I want to let you guys know about it. But this card's obviously super good. Not super into the Bardock crew archetype, but nevertheless. And then we have Kakarot, Bearer of Fate. When you play this card, draw 1, so it's a new energy boosted Majin Buu essentially, but it does have an activate main. Place this card at the bottom of the owner's deck, shoot up to 1 blue sand card with an energy cost of 1 in your drop area, add it to your hand. So this card is actually nuts. Like, this card is guaranteed 4 of in the deck. I mean, you have a lot of good 1-drop sands that you're going to want to get back to your hand with this effect that we'll talk about in a second. So moving on to the next page. This 1-drop Prince Vegeta is really cool. I can't wait to make a pin out of this guy, foil one of these guys. Burnish Bonds Tora. So he's a 3-drop 15k Bardock's crew. He has barrier, permanent. If a Bardock's crew card is in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So a 2-drop 15k, a turn 2 15k is actually really strong. Activate main, 3 blue energy. Place this card in your owner's drop area, shoot up to 1 final strike Bardock from your deck or drop area and play it, and shuffle your deck and look through it. So what that means is if the Bardock crew is in your drop area, you get to play this card basically on curve. So you can play this on turn 2, and then turn 3 you can tap out for its other play, which is to summon the Final Strike Bardock. Good to know. And it seems like this is going to be a mono blue strategy because of that triple blue cost. Because this is going to be one of the main engine starters of the deck, well, without a doubt. Planetary Invader Tora. When you play this card, chips a 1 Bardock screw in drop area, add it to your hand. So more recursion. I mean, that Goku draws a card into this card, which can get you another card. So that's just a lot of pluses right there. Pretty solid. Burnish Bonds Fascia. 3-drop 15k crit, and if a Bardock crew is in your drop area, reduce this in your hand by 1. So a 2-drop 15k crit, again, nothing to really laugh at. Place a card in the owner's drop area, shoot it to 1 Bardock crew in your battle area, and switch it to active mode. That's a pretty solid effect. I mean, for a 2 energy 15k, and then 15k crit, and then restand a battle card to swing again, not bad at all. That's pretty interesting. Planetary Invader Fascia. Auto, when you play this card, look up 5 cards top of your deck, shoot it to 1 Bardock screw among them, add to your hand, shuffle your deck. So what's really cool about this, between that 1-drop baby Goku, the Tora, and the Fascia, you have just you know, two instances of recursion, and then this to scry top 5 and search the deck. So pretty consistent, in my opinion, pretty consistent. We've seen some pretty decent plays so far. Burnish Bonds Shugesh, our favorite boy Shugesh, back in action, blue this time. So when this card attacks, you may draw 1 card. If you did not draw a card with this skill, this card gains double strike for duration of the turn. So this will actually be a really solid target to restand with the Fascia. I mean, just to get an extra draw and potentially double strike. This will be a potential finisher in the deck at a cheap cost. Really good. Burnish Bonds Borgos. Everyone knows about this card already. I actually did a discussion video on this very card. This will be one of the big targets you're going to want to recur with that 1-drop Goku and with that 1-drop Tora. So when you play this card, draw 1. So it replaces itself, already pretty solid. Auto once returned during your opponent's turn. If your opponent switches their energy to active mode using a non-awakened skill, choose up to 1 of your opponent's energy, place in the drop area. So that is going to be, you know, obviously devastating effect to something like Storm. It's going to punish a lot of offensive energy manipulation. So good card to have in the archetype. It's searchable in that archetype, so that could be another strength that the deck will have. And then we have the super combo here. Tulo the Seer. This is the guy in the movie that gives Bardock the ability to see the future, which is kind of cool. And then we got a super combo. Not a base 10k super combo, which is interesting, but this is actually going to be one that's active at 5 life. So a little bit of give and take there. You lose a 10k base, but you get active at 5 life, which can be pretty helpful. So we got our first extra card in the archetype, Future Punch. Sorry. Activate main. Choose 1 Tolo the Seer in your drop area. Place it at the bottom of your deck. So that's your super combo. Choose all of your blue Saiyan leader cards and blue Saiyan battle cards. They gain 5k power and crit for duration of the turn. At the end of the turn, choose all of the Saiyan cards in your battle area and place them in the owner's drop area. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. So, in my opinion, pretty big payoff, pretty big cost, right? So 1 energy extra card that you shuffle a super combo back to the bottom of your deck, so you can potentially get some reusage out of it, but you give all your blue Saiyan battle cards and your leader a big crit boost. But then at the end of the turn, you lose your entire board. That is really risky, and because of that, I don't know if this card will necessarily be played at all, if at any high numbers. So that's something to really think about. I mean, yeah, that's a really rough cost for that card. 4-drop extra card. We haven't seen a good 4-drop extra card since March of the Great Apes. So let's recap on what this does. Activate main if your leader card is a Bardock crew. Choose 1 blue Tora in your drop area and send it to your warp. Draw 4 cards. That's already insane. Shoot up to 1 Final Strike Bardock in your battle area. Switch it to active mode. It gains 10k power and double strike for duration of the turn. At the end of your turn, shoot up to 1 of your energy. Switch to active mode. So you can play this on curve and still end your turn with 1 energy up. And then, you know, Dimension Magic just gets more insane from there because you can just play more defense. So you basically get to restand your boss monster and give it 10k and double strike for duration of the turn. So that can get pretty solid. You're going to have a Tora in drop area just from the natural progression of the game by turn 4 in most cases. Yeah, so that's a pretty solid seeming extra card for a 4-drop, and then you actually get to drop the Final Strike Bardock on that the turn before that, turn 3, with the other Tora's effect. So something to keep in mind there. You can still play on curve. Dream of the Future. Counterattack, negate the attack, and if your leader card's a Bardock crew, you may choose 1 blue card in your hand, place in drop area. If you do, add this card to your hand. Definitely going to be playing 4-dimension magic in this deck over this negate. I mean, it's nice that it's not overcosted like Time's Judgment is, that you can just discard 1 card and get it back to your hand. However, just nowhere near as good as Dimension Magic. So, oh man, we don't get to see the Final Strike Bardock yet. Oh no. Here we go. So Final Strike Bardock was leaked in actually back like right at the end of Nats, I believe. So this is the boss monster of the deck. I'm not sure if they're getting any other super rares or anything like that, or maybe like the secret rare dedicated to this archetype. Who knows yet? But this is the super rare we have to work with. This is, I'm assuming, Final Strike Bardock. From just like the look of that, it looks like the F is starting there, and then obviously it's a Bardock. So this is what that Toro will play into the battle area, and then this is what that 4-drop extra card is going to allow you to boost and give double strike. So with that being said too, this is a 5-cost card that you get to drop with a 3-cost when you do use that Toro effect. So barrier, permanent. There can only be up to 1 Final Strike Bardock in play in your battle area. 25k beater. When this card is switched from rest mode to active mode, if your leader card is a Bardock's Crew card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in the bottom of their deck. So you have that like Harudegarn-esque effect, and you can drop this as early as turn 3. Sorry. So yeah, dropping this early as turn 3 to make your opponent start losing cards. Barrier, 25k. Gonna be pretty hard for your opponent to remove by turn 3. That's for sure. And you can pretty safely untap, especially because you're a burst 2 leader, and then your Dimension Magic is going to be online very, very early. So really big pro to this deck. I mean, you have that. You have the extra card that will allow him to swing again at a 10k. And every single time he restands, your opponent places a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. And that seems to also count the upkeep, which like when you start your turn and untap all your energy and all your battle cards. When this card switches from rest mode to active mode, if your leader card's Bardock Crew, your opponent chooses 1 card in your hand, placed on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, so that even seems like at your upkeep, like when you restand your energy in your battle cards, that this card will force your opponent to kind of put a card from the hand on the bottom of their deck. So every single turn this card just survives, you're going to pick up value off of it. So this card alone actually I think is really, really good for the archetype. And actually, if this archetype's good enough, which I think it'll be a good archetype. I mean, if certain things like Shenron Gogeta 7 are still in the format, I think that could be a problem for almost any mid-game deck, like turn 3 to 5 game deck. But actually, like I did mention before, the leader actually does have some counterplay to the Gogeta 7 strategy, which is pretty cool. And the fact that you can drop this guy in turn 3 to make that deck start losing cards early is also really, really helpful. So I'm going to say this deck is going to be actually a particularly good deck coming into the set. I mean, you have blue, so you have access to Dimension Magic and Senzu Bean, and then you can make use of that Dimension Magic energy with like Unbreakable, Spirits on Goku, or the Infernal ability itself. And you have just a lot of good beaters. Like you have the Fasha that is a 2-drop crit, can restand any of your battle cards, and I'm gonna scroll back to her real quick because I want to see if she can actually restand the boss monster. Place card in the drop area. Yeah, you can restand your boss monster, make them ditch another card, and then swing again with a 25k beater. And that's just, this archetype seems really cohesive and really well put together. And a lot of people have talked about this when they create these theme boosters, that they seem to just be the best designed booster sets, because you have just like these archetypes that do what they're supposed to do with each other, and nothing is too generic to the point where it can be broken. We see that with like Bardock the Progenitor, the Goku's Lineage card, that is insanely broken outside of its archetype because it's too generic. That's why I'm always saying I wish that card would get the errata to only work with the lineage leaders. That would be my perfect situation in a nutshell. But I mean, this archetype facing up's really good. The fact that it can play this card to halt Storm 2 is going to be really strong. I think this card's absolutely insane. 1 blue sand with energy cost of 1. I gotta look into more good targets for that, but just from this archetype, there's already plenty of good targets. So yeah, really happy about this deck. I'm actually gonna definitely be looking to pick this up because I'm a Bardock fanboy and Bardock's awesome. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about the Bardock's Crew archetype down in the comments below. I'm giving it a thumbs up for sure coming out of the new theme booster in January. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Joey. This is Crossroad TCG, and I will see you in the next video.